The Bible says that on the Sabbath, God rested. He quit working. In fact, the word Sabbath literally comes from a word that means to cease or desist, to stop, to rest. And if you don't, then the Bible makes clear that you lose something in your life. Now, again, if you're a person who doesn't really take the Bible as something that you have to follow, then maybe you should just look into all the research that's being done in our day. A long scientific study that's just come out about sleep and the need for rest makes clear to us that you violate this at your own risk. It has huge damage that comes to human beings when you don't do this thing of rest in your life. There's a part of you that gets undone when you don't rest. Some of you don't know this about me, but people who know me know this. I'm not a car guy. And what I mean by that is I don't have any ego attached to what I drive. I never have. I've just wanted a vehicle that would get me from here to there. And what that meant for me early in life as not being a car guy that took any glory in the kind of car I drive is I just didn't care. I didn't care about any of it. I didn't care what it looked like. I didn't care about any of it. But in early days, no one taught me that it did mean I still needed to maintain it. So since I didn't care, I also didn't do any maintenance. Early in Becky and my marriage, we didn't have a lot of money, and we had an old LTD that I'd had since I was a young guy. If you don't know what an LTD is, it was this big, huge, honking car. It was really not a bad-looking car for its day and time, and I had a baby blue one that I had bought. And this baby blue LTD had these super long, it was super long and had super long doors, and mine was a two-door. Well, I didn't do any kind of maintenance on it all. And to not only maintain it, I didn't maintain the body. And it had nicks and dings on it, and I never washed it. I just didn't think about those things. And because at that time in our life, we lived in the northern part of our country, in the winter, of course, because of snow and ice, they had to put salt on the road. So we had driven it, and so the body of this car was rusting out. Another thing you don't know if you've never lived in the north is they have potholes in the north. And I know you think we have potholes here. You don't have no stinking potholes down here. They have potholes in the north that will swallow vehicles. Because of that, and because I did not maintain it in any way, my car was out of alignment. In fact, this LTD was so far out of alignment, I had to keep it at a permanent 20-degree turn just to make it drive straight. In addition to that, over time, the interior of the car began to fall apart. This car had these really long doors that they had for some reason decided they would put plastic kind of interiors on it, and it had a plastic handle. Well, over time, pulling this really heavy door that I never oiled to make it close easily, over time, that plastic handle broke off. But I didn't fix that. Eventually, Becky and I just began to use the knob that you would roll the window down to pull the door closed until that broke off, and then we would have to pull up by the window to get in. I'll never forget the day that I pulled into a particular parking lot driving this car. In addition to all the things I've described, the engine of this car was so poorly maintained that it had a little bit of trouble starting. But once you got it started, it also had that thing that I learned people call dieseling, that when you turn it off, it would not stop running for a little bit of time. So I pulled into this parking lot, and I parked, and I'm standing next to my car while it's doing that thing, and I wanted to make sure it did actually finally turn off. I'm standing there, and while I'm standing there, this guy pulls in a shiny Jaguar. It looked brand new, but it was about 20 years old. But he had done such a miraculous job with it. It looked like you could eat off it. I mean, the paint was shining. It was buffed perfectly. And I thought to myself, I didn't know anyone could drive a car that looked like that. When the guy stepped out of the car, he was as perfect as the car, dressed perfectly. And as I stood next to my car with it just dieseling on, he looked at me and with a look that said, I didn't know anybody could drive a car that looked like that. Now, what was the difference between his car and my car? It was maintenance, and several $1,000s, but mainly maintenance. See, the gift of the Sabbath is about human maintenance. It's about putting something in your life that you have to have in your life, and you violate it at your own risk. Eventually, I learned with cars, you can ignore maintenance if you want to, but you will pay. One day, you will pay for the lack of maintenance. God gives human beings this gift this space in time to remind us you're eternal, but you're not limitless. You have limits, and you must rest. And you violate this at your own risk. God said, I'm creating a Sabbath, and on this day you rest. You just stop. You just take this day from all of your activity. You take your mind and you let your mind rest. You let your soul rest, and this is essential for your health. You must be well rested to live well. Over the long haul, you cannot violate this. And there's a process. And by this process, you restore balance to your life, and you rejuvenate your energy, and you regain perspective. It's like you clear off the windshield of your life, and problems that got bigger and bigger as you got more tired, they get resized into direct proportion. They get appropriately sized in your life. And you allow your emotions to come back into check. And most of all, you learn that you can meet God in this space with rest. And you can enjoy God in this space. You can enjoy being in His presence.